for the webinar today, and that I'm not happy with me not going through the presentation for as on yesterday, and then it struck so much to each and every one of our team members that we take so much due care to ensure that the content that we develop, the content that we provide, the updates that we provide on the webinar are truly very valuable to each and every one of our viewers, people like you. So absolutely delighted to have you here today. A big shout out to all of those who have also joined us on YouTube, who have also joined us live streaming on LinkedIn or whatever social media that I can think of. Good morning to you as well there. And wherever you are in India, around the world, it may be good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but it is so very delightful to have you all here. This is what we are going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit, a very, very little bit about what relativity is and what gives me authority to talk to you about PF compliances. The second topic of the day is handling certain very common myths that we come across as industry professionals that I've heard time and time again. Oh, this is, why don't we do like this? Why should we do this? Why should we do that? So there are a couple of myths that we will talk about. Very important today is we will spend a significant amount of time learning about how we made a difference and how we continue to make a difference for one specific enterprise client of ours. So we have taken that specific enterprise client as an example of case study, and we will dive deep into what pain points they had, what recommendations we did, how did we implement those recommendations, and what was the impact to the organization. So that's the key item that we will discuss today. And please feel free to make notes, because all of this knowledge that we are sharing is can be used in any context and can be used across organizations, no matter how small or big you are. It is absolutely a bliss to use all of this knowledge that you may acquire today. And the last section would be a little bit time we will allocate for Q&A, just to discuss what's happening in the industry. If there are any specific questions you have, we will take those specific questions, and that is where we conclude our session as well. So that's a brief about today's agenda. Let's run about relativity and what I do and why I do what I do. So Relativity is an organization of 16 years of excellence and counting, ladies and gentlemen. Very proud to say that in a services industry and in an industry of payroll and compliance, 16 years of service is of global standards, and we are very, very proud to be there. We have 185 plus clients. We serve 16 cities in India and 5 other countries, neighboring countries. We are ISO 27001 certified. We process 1.1 lakh employee records a month, be it payroll, be it compliance, all of those, a lakh of employee record a month. On a quarterly basis, we process 1.2 million transactions. Our accuracy rates are, mind-boggling, 99 and a half. We've issued 500,000 Form 16 until date, and our client retention is one of the best in the industry. So this tells you what kind of an organization Relativity is. We have our value system and our culture so deep rooted in what we do, and this is what we do. Basically, we have 4 verticals: payroll, accounting, compliance, and taxation. Under payroll, we do payroll processing, payroll compliance. Under taxation, we do TDS compliance at scale. Under statutory compliance, we have labor law compliance, PF, ESI, PTLW, all of that. We have a HRMS tool, and we have a technology partner. We have our own enterprise grade compliance tool that is used by a lot of enterprises. We offer HR consultation for India entry. All those organizations who want to enter India, who want to learn what laws, regulations are there in India, who wants to set up their, their setup in India. For them, we do HR consultations, and of course, very, very important is HR audit. So a lot of organizations choose to do all of this in-house. So what we do is we offer audits to such organizations who do predominantly everything in-house. This adds to a layer of third-party verification, which obviously is a good sign, because if there is something which needs to be corrected, can be corrected as early as possible. Few of our enterprise clients, see, I was telling you, we look at global standards, and these are few of the logos that we work with. All of them are the best in their class, the best in their industry, the top of the top: Cisco, Infineon, Hyundai, Royal Enfield, Oracle. Oracle is one of our largest customers. They have 56,000 employees. All of this, by the way, is public information, so I'm not sharing anything that I shouldn't be sharing. Kennametal, a US listed company, South India's leading national newspaper, The Hindu, right? The Korean LG, Max Linear, Toyota, one of the largest automobile organizations in the world, Himalayas, Infinite, so on and so forth. So these are our enterprise grade clients, our mid-sized clients. Again, all of them are in India, but their roots may be from other countries. They're multinational companies. Witzman is a German-based brand. Coway.co is a London-based, UK-based brand. Rentley is a American-based company. Extero, again, an American-funded organization which has its global software development center at Coimbatore. Toyota, similarly as well. Responsive RPM is a listed US company which has its global capability center here in India. So all of these are, again, the best of the best, the brands, and this is where we, as a compliance partner, as a payroll partner, make a lot of difference, because these organizations, want three things. They don't want anything to go wrong. They want to enhance employee experience to a point where employees not just be employees, but they become loyalists of the company. And the third is they want efficiency at scale, right? When I say efficiency at scale, look at one of our examples, Royal Enfield. We have been their partners since the time they were manufacturing 334 bikes a day, to today, where they are close to manufacturing about 4,000 bikes a day, right? So we have traveled with them, we have scaled up with them, we have moved from being a 334 organization partner to a 4,000 bike organization partner, and this is what we bring on to the table as an organization. With that, let me stop talking about relativity, and this is why I took these three slides, because you need to know with whom you're going to spend the remaining 40-45 minutes. What gives us the authority to talk to you about PF compliance? What gives us the power to explain to you the case study that we want to explain? And this is what gives us the authority. This is what makes us the expert, and this is why I take it my personal responsibility to ensure that every minute of yours is valued. So that's the reason. If I may ask to all of you who have joined today's webinar, there is a poll that is going to come up right away. If you can tell us, answer those questions, I can relate to your specific industries, to your specific company size. So Divya, can we have the poll, please? So that's up on your screen. It is basically very simple, just three questions. What's the approximate employee size of your company? And all of this, I am asking to make sure that I touch upon all of those who are representing in today's webinar. So just to make sure that I cover specific examples, because an organization who has 200 employees, the nuances of this organization is different from an organization who has 4,000 employees, right? So when I want to give examples, I want to make sure that I cover the majority of the people here. beautiful. We have, we have about 50. I'm seeing here because there is another screen here, so please excuse me. I have about 55% who have already polled. Would love for all of you to please poll. Just take a second and do that poll, please. It would love to make this, I would love it because that will give me enough information to make it specific to you if there is a significant number of representatives in that side. Okay, what I can see is we have predominantly, HR professionals. The next predominant is compliance professionals. I can also see that the representatives are from the ITES industry significantly. That's wonderful. And it does seem, interestingly, that we have a good mix of participants. So we don't have one leading. Okay, there is something that is leading now because more people have decided to poll. There is definitely the small and medium enterprises who are leading. Isn't that true, ladies and gentlemen? India's GDP is going to be, not going to be, it is truly, in fact, currently also is being powered by the small and medium enterprises. And I'm happy to see that a lot of small and medium enterprises have joined. We have, in less than 1,000, we have 85% of people right now. In the category of less than 1,000, we have 85 people present, 85% of people present here right now. Yes. This Divya, would you please make sure that people in the waiting room are admitted as soon as possible because it keeps coming on my screen, and that's distracting. I want to ensure that I'm focused. Great, thank you so very much, all of those who participated. This is what you can see on your screen. I think you can. I'm sure you can see it on your screen. About 85% are less than 1,000, which is the small and medium enterprise segment. Predominance is our HR professionals. The next predominance is compliance, and we have overwhelming majority from the IT industry. Isn't this how Indian economy is? I mean, we have an overwhelming majority of small and medium enterprises. The people who are running the economy are people, and the representatives of the people are here on this call. And yes, IT is certainly a booming market. Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. Back to our presentation. So without losing any more time, let's jump to the myths about PF management. And this is going to come one by one. Many times, what we have seen is people think that it is just a one-time setup activity. Whether it is PF, whether it is ESI, PT, LWF, labor law, whatever, even if it is taxation, right? Taxation is also a compliance requirement. It is never a one-time setup activity. And I'll give you one big reason for it. Because it is subject to regulatory changes, right? PF, Provident Fund Organization, in the year 2024, calendar year 2024, do you know how many changes they have made? They have made 183 changes, out of which the employer-facing changes are 66. Now, ladies and gentlemen, friends, tell me, isn't this a myth that it's just a one-time setup activity? Definitely, this is a myth. It is not a one-time setup activity. PF or any compliance requires us to keep committing time and keep committing resources because they are subject to regulatory changes. When problems arise, we can address at that point in time. This is another common myth that keeps coming. No, this is a reactive approach, right? Problems in India come after 4 years, after 5 years, after 6 years, after 7 years. By that time, it is too late. The interest is accrued, the penalty is accrued significantly, the employee's experience or the ex-employee's experience or whatever it is screwed beyond possible corrective measures. All of those are reactive ways of conduct, and they are absolutely not the way how we can progress in today's fast-paced world. When problems arise, we can address them at that time. Certainly, a myth. What is the way forward is to be proactive and is to ensure that we take steps proactively but not reactively. Compliance is only big for sorry is only for big companies, or I'm a small business, so compliance doesn't apply to me. Regulation is a regulation. A law is a law. When and I give these examples many times. You may be in a bus, you may be in a car, you may be in a two-wheeler. For all of us, the same signal applies. If it is red, it is stop. If it is yellow, it is get ready. And if it is green, it is go. Just because I'm on a two-wheeler doesn't mean that I don't have to follow these regulations. Bad things happen, right? So the same way, whatever kind of compliance it is, this is a myth that it is only for big companies, it is only for the rich companies, it is only for the ones that have money. No, the way of doing business in India is by going compliance first. That's the expectation. The fourth is being compliant is expensive. I will not disagree with this statement. I will not disagree with the statement, but what I would definitely like to remind you all is you don't know the cost of being non-compliant. That is, I think there is a proverb as well, right? Right? If we say being compliant is expensive, think the cost of non-compliance. Non-compliance is way more expensive indirectly as well as indirectly, right? It costs not only money when non-compliance comes in, it costs reputation, it costs loss of morale, it costs productivity, it costs everything. What has happened in the last 3 4 years is it is not costing people to go to jail. That's the only thing that has changed, right? A lot of acts have been decriminalized, which means there is no criminal punishment, right? But at the same time, what has increased is what is at stake. The money has increased, the penalties have increased, the fines have increased, everything is increased. So if you say being compliant is expensive, then being non-compliant is far, far, far more expensive in the long term, right? PF compliance, or rather compliance, feels burdensome. Yes, if we look at it as an independent function, it will feel burdensome. And that is where we talk about awareness. That is where we talk about partnerships. That is where we talk about, getting together as an industry, as a community, and helping each other out. And a lot of organizations are doing a great job at it. NIPM, NHRD, all of these organizations, NASCOM, all of these organizations are doing a great job by, bridging certain knowledge gaps in the compliance space, right? So they have the knowledge gap that is bridged. They conduct regular info sessions. All of these are good things that are happening. So it shouldn't feel burdensome moving forward, particularly in today's digital age where connectivity and connected people is at our best. Guys, how many of you, don't agree to one or many of this? I would love to know what you say. Please use your chat. We looked at 5 myths. PF compliance feels burdensome. Compliant is expensive. Compliance is only for is not for small companies, it's only for big companies. When problems arise, we can address at that time, and it's just a one-time setup activity. How many of you resonate with one of these? Use the chat to talk to me. Use the chat to post your messages. I would love it. And this is what we want to achieve, right? It is not only about I sharing what I know, but it is also about we all sharing our piece of experience, because every person's experience is unique. Every organization's experience is unique, and your perspective is different. And it's an open debate. There is nothing right or wrong here. It's all about our point of views and our perspective. Steps. Let's jump into the case study. I think most of you are here for the case study, right, of our enterprise, and here we go. So this specific client that we are talking about, we acquired them in 2013. Um, when we acquired them, they were about 300, 340 people, 350 people. Today, they are, a number between 1,000 to 1,500. And we are giving this range because we're telling the specific number of employees, is mm, data specific to that organization, right? So they are into the semiconductor space. They are headquartered in Germany, but in India they are headquartered in Bangalore, and they have offices in 5 more cities apart from Bangalore. So totally in India they are present in 6 cities. They have 4 related entities. The group entities they call. At this point in time they have gone through one acquisition and sorry, two acquisitions and one merger. They've gone through 2 acquisitions and one mergers, and that's how the 4 related entities are there. There is IW, which means international workers. A lot of people, come and go because they are globally present. So there's always, people moving around. There are people who come from other countries to India on assignments, and there are also people from India who go to other countries on short-term assignments. So both of these are there. So there is certificate of coverage compliance. We'll have to get them certificate of coverage. We'll have to apply those certificate of coverage for the inbound employees, so on and so forth. And Relativity's partnership with this specific client has been for the last 10 years. So we started working, we started doing the R&D with them in 2013. We started working with them for this specific service in 2014. And say 2024, we have completed 10 years of partnership. Now, what are the pain points they faced? Right? The pain points, when we started engaging with them, we had a host of discussions, and we are categorizing the pain points in 5 areas. Number 1 is data. Number 2 is processes. Number 3 is knowledge. Number 4th area is technology, and the 5th area are people. Right? People could mean the people representing compliance, or the people, the end users, who are the organization, the employees who are working in the organization, who are the customers of the HR department. So when we did this analysis in September 2013, and we categorized the challenges, we studied what's happening in the organization, we studied them, and this is what we got to know. With respect to data, the data availability was not at all there, right? It was very specifically available with 1 or 2 people, and that's bad for an organization, right? Particularly when we are a growing organization, having data available only on laptops of 1 or 2 people is absolutely bad. It's not a good way of data availability at all, because when those people are not available, the data is not available, right? And when I say data, I mean all data necessary for compliance activities. It could be to find out date of joining of an employee. It could be to generate Form 3A, Form 6A, which today, by the way, are not needed on a day-to-day basis, but way back in 2013 were the norm. For every transfer request, there was a Form 3A requirement, from Form 6A requirement, so on and so forth. So everything was paper-driven, right? 10 years ago. The data was fragmented. Some data would be there on Excel, some data would be there in one of their India specific HR software, some data would be there in their global HRMS software, and everything was being done manually. Right. So these are the 3 biggest challenges that we identified on the data side. On the process side, we got to know that the processes were old and outdated, absolutely, because nobody had reviewed those processes in the last 4 years, and there were a lot of changes with respect to EPFO, with respect to pension, between 2009 to 2012, which means whatever processes were built between 2009 to 2012 would be outdated by the time it was 2012. And come in 2013, they were not looked at. They were slowing things down. Processes are supposed to manage risks, processes are supposed to improve efficiency, and processes are supposed to give us predictability of the outcome, right? That's why we have a process. But then none of this was happening. This was not the processes were not at all serving this purpose, and they were in fact slowing things down. And what we also got to know is people, the real knowledgeable people had moved on. 2013, 2014, 15 were booming times for certain specific industries, the industry of which this client belonged as well. So there were a lot of people moving around, and you have only a handful of semiconductor companies in India. So there was always demand for people who have experience in other semiconductor industries. So people had moved on. With those people, the knowledge had also left, and people who were there, who were taking care of this function at that point in time, were unable to keep up with the pace of changes, because the market is changing, their organization is growing, PF is also changing, so it was just too overwhelming for those individuals to keep up with the updations that is required. Technology was unfortunately, I have to say, technology was not existent at all. It was centrally managed by someone else. They had outsourced the whole technology piece to another globally managed, service provider. And you know how it is, right? Once you go to global service providers, they take like 6 months to implement a change, and by the time the change is effective, it's the regulation has moved on. So because of this nuance, technology was never used, right? Because there was a lot of friction. The speed was not there, the expertise was not there, the processes were not set, so it was not used at all. And then in people perspective, it was, as I told you, the employment market was at significant highs. Those were the one of the early adopter times, not the booming times, but the early adopter times. So talent availability was definitely there, and they wanted to keep talent at any cost. But this also led to people not being aware of the benefits of the provident fund. So they didn't neither did they know how the benefits worked, nor did they know about the benefits itself. And many of them came from other organizations who had trusts, right? When there is a PF trust, at least during those times, today the PF is very efficient, but at least during those times, the PF trust was more efficient, right? So people did not know how EPFO would work, and all of these were the pain points they faced in September. I mean, I'm only talking about the most important pain points. There are a host more, but of course, what I can present in the available time is the most important pain points that we saw. So this is what we are able to see. And what so happened? What did we understand as relativity? Because in 2013 we would have already completed about 6 years of service in the market, in the industry, and fairly we were working significantly with enterprises at that point of time. It is in 2017 onwards that relativity started opening up for small and medium business, small and medium segments. So until 2017, we were enterprise specialists. So what is it that we got to know? We got to know that the processes were people dependent. I mean, the things there, the PF stuff, the compliance stuff were people dependent and not process dependent. And this is a huge risk, right? It is not because we don't trust people. It is because the system has to work. It is not about people being trustworthy or not trustworthy. It is about people being, I mean, processes being run as a system. The system should run by itself. The second the analysis that we did is we saw that the processes in-house, whatever the organization had, were very rigid. I mean, what is the point in having a process which is not serving its purpose, right? So there were very rigid in-house processes, clearly lack of expertise. The client at that point in time did not have the necessary expertise in their organization, and employees were very, very impatient, right? They would come with a transfer request, and they would want everything to happen in 15 days, in 20 days, which is unheard of in 2013, right? And what would happen is that would lead to people cribbing, that would lead to complaints, that would lead to escalations. The people on the field, which are the organization's own HR team, they beyond a point were not able to convince the employees to wait because they also lacked the understanding of how licensing would work, and what needs to be done for the next steps. So these are certain analysis, these are certain conclusions that we did after we looked at the pain points. What did we recommend, right? So our recommendations were on these lines. With respect to data, fragmented, distributed, accessibility was an issue, availability was an issue. So for data, we recommended a proper repository with data access restrictions. So what can happen is the same data, I mean, the same data repository can be accessed by multiple people with different levels of restrictions. So somebody who does not need access to date of joining need not have access to date of joining. Somebody who needed to only generate certain reports can generate only those kind of reports, right? So that is a recommendation that we gave. We redesigned and we retained only 21 processes. The organization in the compliance space had about, I think, about roughly, if I'm not wrong, roughly about 30 and odd processes. But then we redesigned them. Most of the processes we chucked out. Whatever wanted needed to work, we kept it, and the number was at 21. Knowledge, right? There's constant updation that is required. So Relativity's knowledge hub was a place where we moved. And what we did is technology, we understood the nuance of the organization. It is centrally managed. There is nothing that we can do about it. But Relativity, as I was telling earlier, we have a compliance tool that we give for enterprises, and that is the compliance tool that we also gave for this particular client, recommended for this particular client in specific. And with respect to people, it is all about awareness. It is all about educating them. What benefits are there? What works? What doesn't work? What should they do? What should they not do? Why nominations are important? When a life event happens, like when a marriage happens, when a childbirth happens, when somebody passes away in our family, why should they relook at their nominations? All of these are very important awareness and education programs. What do we mean by PF transfer? When should they withdraw? When should they not withdraw? What is the tax applicability of withdrawal? All of these things are very essential for people to know, because only then they will feel empowered, and that's what we gave them as a recommendation from the experts' point of view. What happened over the last 10 years, right? So we don't only recommend, but we also started working with this particular organization 10 years strong. Of course, they have also grown from 330 to between 1,000 to 1,500 today. But look at what has happened. In just 24 months, rejections were reduced by 66%. We had better UN tags every month. 2014 was also the time when UN concept was introduced, though it is only in 2017 that a unique UN tagging to Aadhaar was introduced, right? But UN as a concept was introduced in 2014 itself. So we started having better UN tags every month. So this led to a lot of betterment in terms of new joinee data not getting missed, in terms of no interest or penalty for those new joinees who would invariably miss out and lose track. Reduced processing time, any claim. People want loan, people want to transfer their money, at least from the organization. It would go off to the EPFO in 8 days. So this was reduced. And what also significantly happened is the statutory authorities also started looking at the results, right? They started looking at better data. They started looking at more accurate, ECRs. They started looking at, they started seeing that, they started feeling that the organization is taking compliance more seriously. This led to improved relationship with the EPFO, right? And you know what happens, right? When relationships improve, we can move mountains when relationships improve. These are the results that were achieved. And how many of you want to know the impact? This is only one on the screen. There are two more that I would need to share. So what we saw until now were the results, right? Results in terms of operations. These results led to some benefits. These results, when they were done consistently over a period of time, have impacted the organization in a positive manner. And that is what the impact of the organization is. The number one thing that happened was the total cost of operations was reduced, right? We call it TCO, total cost of operations. So this is a very, very generic term that we use when we want to measure what is the cost with respect to something, right? The operation. So the total cost of operations, P of operations in this was reduced because, do you remember earlier I told you UN taggings were done? Earlier I also mentioned that we had redesigned processes. So all of this over, what happened is led to timely remittances for new joinees, accurate remittances, which led to lesser 7Q and 14. Did I interchange that? Yes. And there were proper processes which led to faster processing, which led to efficiency. So the time that people would spend, the direct costs that the organization would experience, as well as the indirect costs that the organization was experiencing because of poor efficiency, because of rejections, submit again, the employee getting frustrated, all of those significantly improved in about 24 months. And that led to a reduced total cost of PF operations, right? Significant. And these interests, in 2 years and 3 years can lead to significant amounts. The second very, very, very important impact was to the employees. And in what way, if you ask, is in the way of higher morale among employees, right? So with better knowledge, what started happening was rejections were lesser, right? The request would just not be submitted because of knowledge availability. The verifications would happen, and then if everything is found right, only then it would go to the EPFO, which means when it is going to the EPFO, it is going in the right expectation that EPFO has. And I'll tell you, the EPFO's expectation is also localized, right? So it is not that Delhi EPFO expects this way. That is the way of how Bombay EPFO office expects, and that is the way how Bangalore Central EPFO office expects. No, there are variations in each of these regions as well. So that is where we have the depth of that knowledge. So this led to lesser rejections, and automatically what would happen? Happier employees, right? All my processes, whether it is PF transfer or whether it is a withdrawal from an employee who has left, or whether it is somebody who's taking loan from his or her PF account, or when somebody is converting their pension, all of those would happen easily with less rejections that would lead to happier employees. The second systematic thing also which started happening was data correctness, right? Earlier, the bifurcation, even today, we deal with EPS bifurcation issues, so many issues that we still deal with. Though a lot of it now we are able to deal with online, right? Those times it was not, and hence data correctness was very important. So when we started, dealing with correct data, applications were processed faster, which of course again led to happier employees. Awareness to employees led to benefits being used, benefits being availed, right? What even today a lot of people don't know what is the use of EDLI, employees direct linked insurance, right? It is because this is not conveyed to them. And that is where all of this would lead to better branding, better employer branding, which should ultimately lead to better goodwill, right? With respect to employer and the relationship between the employer and the statutory authority, that perception, the relationship between these two organizations. This is also very important because you are here, the employer is here, the statutory authority is here. It is necessary to have a healthy working relationship, right? So a good image leads to a better relationship, leads to better services from EPFO as well, right? It will lead to better services from EPFO too. And I'm telling you, all of these are legally better services. I'm not at all going beyond what something that should not be done, right? So this would always have a goodwill to the statutory authorities as well, and better overall image in the industry. And there are so many organizations who then later become a positive example in the industry. The industry bodies talk about it. See, look at how that company is doing. Look at how this company is doing. Look at how all of these people are doing. Let's look at them. Let's learn from them. That is how the perception changes in the long term. Yeah. So this is the third biggest impact to the organization. So this is where the conclusion of the case study comes. It started with us and understanding their pain points, which led to relativity giving them certain doing certain analysis, and what we found as experts, which led to we proposing certain recommendations or changes, which led to certain results. And ultimately, these results, when replicated over a period of time, at the end of 10 years, at this juncture of our relationship with this specific client, what we are able to see is this is the impact to the organization. And these three impacts are significantly good impacts that in my opinion has happened. Okay, so we are at 11:48, which means I have 12 more minutes. But I'm okay to prioritize question answers and skip this relativities compliance offering based on what you guys want. So you have the chat. I would love for you, even if I'm going to talk about compliance offerings, it would be for 5 minutes. So if you want me to go ahead with the relativities compliance offerings for 5 minutes, or would you like to start directly to Q&A? I'm for my attendees. Your time is important. So asking this question to you, if you could please use the chat and let me know. The question is very simple. Shall we spend 5 minutes on compliance offerings or not? That's the question. We could skip and go directly to the Q&A as well. Is my chat not working for some reason? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, just waiting for your inputs. Okay, so I have one gentleman who's told, please go ahead. Thank you very much, Prem, for that. But what about the others? Yeah, okay, good, nice. I have a few people who are responding. Thank you so very much. Q&A would be better. I really appreciate that, Dominic. So we'll also look at Q&A. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Okay. Wonderful. So let's do this. I will cover relativities compliance offerings as soon as possible. And then we'll spend good amount of time for Q&A. Okay, so I'm going to rush through the Q&A. Okay. So what do we do? Under payroll compliance umbrella, we take care of PF, ESI, PT, LWS, statutory filings, statutory consultations, statutory statutory audit meaning not the ROC audit, the audit for statutory matters. We have our own compliance tool called the Smart Operator. So we also deploy this tool for enterprises, and we also solve specific problems. On the local labor compliance, yeah. So PF, ESI, PT, LWF are payroll compliance, and then there are a host of other compliances that anybody who has more than 20 employees needs to comply with. The larger the organization, the more important it is for us to comply. So we look at labor registers and documentation, periodic filings. We take care of the inspections, visits, any demands we take care. Labor registrations and amendments are taken care by us. CLRA registrations are taken care. POSH, very important. Apprenticeship Act, the ones where notices are just being given like notices, if you know what I mean. Left, right, and center, right? Apprenticeship Act and legislative updates. Our compliance tool, we're very proud. We have released in 2023 our updated, more powerful RPA-based, robotic process automation-based compliance tool called Smart Operator. It does compliance management, activity management reporting, query management happens, licensing activities, notices, data repository, automated alerts, you name it, it's available. Because I want to spend more time for Q&A. I'm just running through it. Anybody who wants any more information, please get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to show you how it exactly works. Divya, my colleague, is going to also put some links, which are our links for LinkedIn. We are very active on LinkedIn. We in fact have a weekly quiz that happens on LinkedIn, which is based on payroll, taxes, and compliance. And maybe some of you may know, but if you don't, please follow our company page on LinkedIn, and you will get notified every week when the quiz comes out. We are also active on YouTube. We also have a mailer that gets sent out. So please do look at us at whatever it is. Now I'm opening up for Q&A. So this is how we are going to do Q&A. I'd suggest you put your questions on the chat, and we will start taking them one by one. My colleagues are also on this call, Arun and his team. Arun leads the compliance function for Relativity. So he works with enterprises. He makes sure things happen. He has a large team who delivers all the services that compliance has to deliver. And he's also there on the call. His team, I believe, is also there on the call. Hi, Arun, you're there? And while we do that, I'd love if you have questions, answers, anything that you'd like to share, any perspective that you'd like to share. Beautiful. This is the time. This is the time. We still have quite some time. We still have quite some time, and just let's connect separately. Okay, we will. Are you providing? Okay, so there is a question, Satish Kumar. Are you providing pan-India services for registration under CLRA? Yes, we do, and certainly, Satish, we will definitely. My business development team will definitely get in touch with you. Thank you very much. Dominic, do you have a question? And then we'd love to get to know if you have a question. While we are also talking about all of this, um, how many of you made it to the PF updates webinar last week? Yes, so if you made it, good and well, but if not, that's a very important PF update webinar that you should definitely look at. We also had the union budget that came up last week, but that's with respect to payroll taxes. It's a big no-no today because today is all about compliance, PF compliance. Okay, so we have a few questions. PF challan and when interest starts. So, Dominic, the PF challan, so for anybody who has joined or an organization between the first day of the month to the last day of that month, the organization is expected to make the remittance before the 15th of the subsequent month, right? So let's take the example of February 1st to 28th or 29th of February, whatever the case is. The expectation is that we pay the PF dues before the 15th of March. So for all practical reasons, just have it as 14th of March. Yeah. So that's the requirement. When we don't pay it on the 14th of March or on the 15th of March, and when it goes to the 16th of March or 17th of March or 18th of March, that is the time when interest kicks in. Yeah, and then there are different slabs. So let's say if we have delayed by 1 month, the interest is there, but the penalty is different. If we have delayed by 3 months, the penalty is different. If we have delayed by 6 months, the penalty is different. And if we have delayed beyond that, the penalty is different, right? So there is an interest component and then there is a penalty component as well. This also is applicable when we talk in part. So it is not only paying PF dues, it is also paying PF dues to every eligible employee. So many times this is where organizations struggle. They close their payroll on 25th or 26th, then somebody joins on 28th, right? Who get pushed to the subsequent month, which is not the right thing to do. So that is not the right. Okay. So I think your question I was able to answer. Dominic, if you have a follow-up question, please use the chat. Karthik, okay, so I can see Arun has already replied. Shall we do PF salary restriction to 1,500 for some employees and no restriction for some employees? Yes. So there is a joint declaration under Form 26 of 6. That is the format that we will have to use. Puvanan asks PF employer paid monthly contribution. Okay, Arun is very fast, right? He's already answering a lot of the questions. Connect with your respective PF office dealing assistant and accounts officer. Okay, yes, good. Can we do PF for employees who is in contract basis? Is your question can or should, Jana Ranjani? Can we do? Yes, you can. Should you do or should you not do is definitely a question, right? So it depends on the contractor as well, right? So Arun has just put up. So if your contractor doesn't have a EPF code, then as a principal employer, you become liable. So in that situation, definitely you should do. Okay. While all of these Q&As are being answered, my colleague Divya is also going to bring up a feedback poll, the last poll of this webinar, promise you, right? Divya, would you please bring up the feedback poll? And we put in a lot of effort. There are a lot of moving parts to get this webinar going. So I'd love to know from you what you felt about the webinar. What could we do better? Is there something else that you would want? How did I do, by the way? It's very important that I know that I did well or I did not do well, isn't it? Right. So you all have spent 60 minutes. So forget the rating. The rating is only for documentation purpose, but heart to heart, right? So tell us, how can we be more helpful to you? How can relativity be more helpful to you? How can Akash be more helpful to you? That's the reason why we are asking the feedback, and that's what you have on your screen. I'd love for you to kindly take a few moments and look at the web feedback questions while we are doing the Q&A as well. Uh, Many times we see when we start the Q&A session, right, a lot of people start leaving, but there is a lot of learning during the Q&A session. So all of those, who can spend maybe 5 more minutes, this is the time. Please make sure that you learn from each other as much as you learn from us, as much as I learn from you as well. Is there any updates on PF higher pension scheme? Karthik, the only update is they have closed the application, right? Everything is done. Yes. What is the maximum? But when it is going to be in effect, what is going to happen is all stuff that we still need to know from them. What is the maximum limit for VPF, voluntary provident fund, is what you're asking. So the maximum limit for VPF is 100% of your PF. That's you can go up to 100% and contribute the whole of your salary to VPF. But then is it beneficial or not is a secondary question. But per se, there is no limitation on VPF. The whole of your salary can be contributed as VPF. But that's only from the employee's side, right? It's not from the employer's side. Employer will still decide what they want to decide. Yes. Okay. Any extension can be expected for higher pension request approval. Gokilavani, I don't think so, in my opinion, because this itself was, I think, a third or fourth extension, and it would not be in compliance of the Supreme Court orders. So we don't anticipate any extension, so to say. Gopi says, is it possible? I can see, 50% have already, given their feedback. The remaining 50%, I would love for you to give your feedback so that we can keep adding value, extraordinary value to each and every one of you at each and every one of our webinars. Is it possible to fix the employer contribution is 1950 and employee is based on full basis? Yeah, so that is definitely a possibility. Yes, it is definitely a possibility. But what you should do is that there has to be intimation. So that's something that is very important. Okay, there are questions and then there are answers. So I'm just trying to see what one employee received two contributions in a month. She can't take full claim in PF. How to resolve this problem? One employee has received two contributions in a month. She can't take full claim in PF. How to resolve this problem? Are you saying that there was, in the PF ECR, there was a mistake by the employer, and because of which, instead of money going to two different employees, it has landed in the account of the same employee? Then you can actually request for cancellation of ECR, or you can also request for transfer of those funds from this employee to another. You'll have to deal with it with your local PF officer, Purnima. There is this account section who will be able to help you out. Okay, Bhargavi has given her email ID. Thank you, Ramachandran. It can be specific value. Okay. Arun has... Okay, good. So I don't see anybody's anybody's question unanswered. Is it? So if your question is not answered, or if it is still pending, please make sure that you put. We'll take questions for another 2 minutes before which we close. Yes, so another 2 minutes, and then we close the session. And you always know, right? We are always around. Relativity. You have email IDs of our people. Please reach out to us. We will do what we practically can. So that's certainly something that we could do. And for those who have asked us to give more details about our compliance, we'll definitely get back to you. Ramachandran, thank you to you too, and thank you, Gokulamani. You all have been great audience, so thank you to you too. Wonderful. I think we should call this a good webinar, and we should call it a day. Thank you everyone for your very active contribution, and let's keep in touch. We have our upcoming webinars. We have PF updates webinar. We have budget updates webinar. All of those. So please make sure that you tune in to our upcoming webinars. All of these sessions are absolutely free because this is how we are giving it back to the society. Right? This is how we are sharing the knowledge that we have gathered over 16 years, and we are giving it back. So thank you so very much. All of you have a wonderful day ahead and a wonderful week as well. See you. Tata. Bye bye.